Hello, Philippines Mabuhay. Welcome to all of you, my kababayans there in the Philippines. Most especially to my subscribers, my likers, and viewers. Thank you for your time again and again. To my OFW friends, their family members, or sons and children of my families, or our co-Filipinos or kababayans working abroad, working as hard laborers in the Middle East, working as domestic helpers, or factory workers, or being a seafarer or a sea merchant. Thank you for viewing, for liking, and subscribing on my blog and on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much again. So today we're going to continue our discussion regarding the risk factors for elderly falls. So yesterday or the other night, I have discussed to you two risk factors. Now we're going to add two. This one would be difficulty walking or impairment in walking or disturbance in walking. And the other one would be the use of multiple medications, or we call it polypharmacy. So difficulty walking or impairment or dysfunction in walking. So there are lots of contributory factors that leads to or that lead to impaired walking or walking dysfunction or poor walking. It could be a pre-existing problem. If you have like a problem in your hearing, if you have a problem with your inner ear, on your the center for the equilibrium inside the inner ear here, not really on the earlobe or something. It's inside, so that controls our position or our perception of our current balance or position. Another thing too, if you have like a history of mild CVA or stroke, remember a person having a stroke, they walk slowly and then sometimes they limp, sometimes they could hardly lift their foot when they walk, so they're risk for balance. Same also for people like with arthritis, if they have like severe or moderate pains on their knees or ankles or the hip, especially for obese people or heavyweight people. So that affects walking too. If they have like a sprained or strained ankle or knee or hip, that leads also to walking problems. If a person has back problems, like disc problems or fractured lower back or a fractured pelvis or hip, that affects also the walking. So there are lots of factors or reasons that impairs your walking abilities. The other one would be the use or taking a lot of medications, especially three or more, shall we say five or more, because here in the United States, most of the elderly people or age group people, they have already like pre-existing problems. So before the exacerbation of their condition, they're taking medications already. It could be not less than five. So we got to understand that if you're taking multiple medications, I know it treats your condition, your medical condition clinically, but the effects on the body, the interaction of this medication to each other, sometimes they collide. So that leads to drowsiness or dizziness. So if you are an elderly person or 65 and above, your risk of falling is very high. So that's why we see sometimes on the bottle, I don't know if they do that in the Philippines, like because here in America, on the medicine bottles, there's always there a warning. Please be careful driving. This medication will lead to dizziness, risk of falls. So I don't know in the Philippines, but here there's always a label. They cannot dispense medications without any like the list of side effects or interactions. And then sometimes, most of the time, it's really on the medication bottle. So what are these medications? So there are lots of medications that could lead to dizziness or drowsiness. If a person is taking antidepressants, because most of the time, people they get so lonely later in life because they got nobody, or they are in a skilled nursing home. They're not being visited by their family, or there are lots of reasons. Sometimes they're just clinically depressed. So that antidepressant has like sedative effect that relaxes your brain, or the chemical in the brain that leads to drowsiness or sleepiness. So if a person takes that, and if he's going to walk or going to get out of the room or his house or her house, the risk of falling is very high. If the person is taking muscle relaxants or a tranquilizer, so that relaxes also your muscles or your brain or your mind. So that could lead also to dizziness or drowsiness. If you're taking some like heart medications, if you have like heart ailments, so those have effects too on an elderly person. If you are taking anti-diabetic medications or too much insulin, if you are taking antihypertensive too, sometimes if it's like the dosage is too high for you, or you forgot, you double your dose that day, because you get a person, an elderly person has bouts of mild Alzheimer's or dementia. So that's a very high risk for falls. So we really have to be careful. And then, just to let you know, as we get older, our response, our tolerance in this medication is really impaired or decreased as compared if you were younger. So let's be very careful. So, folks, that's all for today, and hope you learned something. And I'll continue more on my next blog. You all take care, and I'll see you later. Have a good day. Bye.